they like their concert. So here's Justin Timberlake, and this is like the sections where they sit. So these are the front row people. This is like the back row of the concert. Okay. So this is the front. This is the back.
Oh, and then depending who you ask is the different answers, right?
There you go.
If you could ask like the people at the front, it'd be convenient.
Perfect. So we're going to take two different types of samples that are good samples. They're not biased. They don't typically lead to bias. Any sample could have bias on it if you're not sampling well. But we want to take a sample of 10 of these 50 people. What we're going to do is we're going to take a simple random sample of 10. Explain what steps you do to obtain the sample. So what did I say was step number 1 of an SRS? Yeah, we need to label
the whole group.
We need to label everybody in some sort of way. So what I would say is, what did I say on here? I said label seats 1 to 50. Okay, so that's step number 1. I'm going to give everyone a number 1 to 50. So let's say I did, this is number 1 and this is number 50, and they kind of go this way. Like 1, and then it goes this way, this way. Alright, step number 2 is, you can either say one or the other. Use a calculator or use a digit table. How about we say, use calculator to find sample of 10 from 1 through 50. Alright, and for the sake of time here, let's say I got these numbers here. So for the sake of time, this is not going to be, actually, let's do it. We'll be fine. Reagan, what'd you get there? Yeah, I saw you plug it in. Did you get them?
We're looking for 10 numbers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 37.
Okay, this is going to be hard. Yeah. This is 40.
Never mind that.
So that would be, what, 39, 38, 37?
3.
It's the easy one.
17. 50.
There you go.
11. 40. 48.
Oops, that's not 48.
12. 19.
Oh,
1.
10.
1?
Yeah.
And is that 20? Is that 10?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Yeah, we do need to do them randomly though. It would not be good if I didn't do them randomly. Okay, so let's say we're just gonna keep those right there. Step number 3 was I selected them. So I selected them. We're gonna use this on the back side here. For right now, we selected these people. These are our 10 people we're gonna ask after the concert. How much did you like the show? I didn't like. Alright, sweet. What we're going to do, method number 2, is we're going to randomly choose two fans from each horizontal row. So we're going to try something different. Rather than just randomly choose 10 from everywhere, I'm going to choose 2 from each of those rows. So, Reagan, so like step number 1 would be, what did I say?
Label?
By row, label 1 through 10, right? Because we're going by certain row.
Yeah.
Step number 2 would be use calculator to choose 2 numbers. And then step number 3 is we're going to mark them on here. So, Reagan, what was the first 2 numbers that you got there?
2, or no, yeah, 2 and 10.
Alright. Okay, we have to do a new random sample for every single one. So like the next two.
11, 15.
Wait, it's only 1 through, it's only 1 through 10.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So do another 1 through 10.
So put it in again.
Yeah. So
Well,
put it in again, and it should say 1, 10, 5, or 2. I mean.
9 and 10 then, but here we go.
No,
But
see,
it's
but
the
then
next
look,
row.
here's
It's a
9 and
different
10
person.
on the second row. 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not the same 10, because this guy was 10, this guy was 10, this guy
3 and 3.
Dude.
was 10. Okay, so we got 3, but I want 2 different people, so we need to do another one, because I got 3 and 3.
2.
Okay, 2, so then that's 2. Maybe I'll write these down. That was 2 and 10, this one was 9 and 10.
Why'd you do 3 through 2?
Because 3, it would just be one person, and I want 2 people, and that one person is gonna give me the same response twice. I don't want that.
8 and 1.
Alright, 8 and 1,
And then 5 and 4.
5 and 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so we did that by horizontal row. Alright, and method number 3, we're gonna do it by randomly choose one fan from each vertical column this time. So now there's 10 columns, and there's only 5 in there. So what we're gonna do is by column label 1 through 5.
And we're picking 1.
And then, yeah, number 2 is you're gonna use calculator to choose 1 through 5.
5.
Okay, so Reagan's first one was she got 5. So we're gonna go 1 is at the top, so 5 would be down there. Be at the very bottom left.
And then 1.
Okay, got the number 1,
5.
5,
4.
4,
2.
2,
5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay.
4. 2.
Oh my god.
2. 5.
That's like the front row.
Alright,
Oh my God.
yeah, which one of these 3 do we think did best? Did we think just randomly scattered among the 50? Do we think getting 2 people guaranteed from each row, or do we think getting 1 from each column did the best?
I think,
Any guesses?
I feel like 2,
2, 1.
because it's 2 from each row. I don't know, I feel like
Because
it's.
you don't say, I wanna buy a ticket in the first column.
Like, here's the thing. What are people experiencing right here that they're not experiencing right here? If they're right next to him and they're at the very top nosebleeds. Who's getting the different experience? I would say on typical average, it sounds like Justin Timberlake doesn't give a good concert is what I'm hearing. On typical average, if you're front row, like right next to the person, you're probably like loving it.
Mhm.
But if you're at the nosebleeds,
You hate it.
maybe you're back there like, this is okay, but I'm not really experiencing it as much. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So like by rows, there might be some sort of different interpretation. So when I split people by rows here, I'm gonna guarantee I get some people who had a really close experience, the next group of people who were somewhat close, and then all the way to the people who were the farthest away you can get. I'm guaranteed to get a random sample. Now, number 1, we did get a pretty good random sample on number 1, even though I got a pretty good amount of ones at the front. But taking a truly random sample, I might have gotten all 10 at the front row or all 10 at the back row. So this could lead to me misinterpreting some data.
Mhm.
But by me splitting by some sort of characteristic, in this case, I think, basically, what row you're on could impact how good show is. Right? Like if you're closer, you might like the show more. Not necessarily supposedly.
So which one did you pick?
Huh?
What's the best?
What's that?
Which one is the best?
So right now we think method 2 because we think like the people by, I'm getting someone from each row. So which one do I think is best? I think number 2 because I'm for sure getting some from each experience. Okay, and we might have to bleed over into, no, I think we'll get there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to, here is the numbers that they got. This person right here gave it 100 out of 100. They loved it. And this person over here gave it a 63. So what we're going to do is we're going to get from sample 1, what did our people think about the show? How well did they like it? So I don't remember. I got your notes there. Okay, so let me see. It looks like we got oh wait, that's okay. I'm circling this sample 1 enjoyment level. So like on sample 1 on the front page, we had these people, we had this one, we sampled this guy, we sampled this girl, and this one. Those were our 10 people that we randomly got. Okay, so on sample 2, so what I would do is I'm going to get the average enjoyment from what they did. So I would do, I guess I've got to count this up. I'm going to do 92 plus 82 plus 86 plus 90 plus 90 plus 85 plus 72 plus 63 plus 67 plus 68 divided by 10. So I'm going to get the average rate for that one. Sweet. Thank you for getting that. Okay, so I got 79.5 for sample 1.
Wait, but don't you have to put the dot plot on it now?
Yeah, we're gonna just hold up on that. Actually, we can talk about the dot plot. So 79.5. So that would be like there. Okay. So let's say every single one of us, so there's like about, how many? About 15 or 16 people in here right now. Let's say every single one of us did our own simple random sample. Okay? So what's going to happen is someone would get this, someone's going to get a new one, someone's going to get a new one, a new one, a new one, a new one. And our simple random sample, sometimes our simple random sample is going to get, like on this one, we got a lot up here. Sometimes we're going to get some down here, like mixed. We're going to get more lower numbers. Sometimes we're going to get more higher numbers. Sometimes we're going to get all middle, because it's truly random. So our simple random sample dot plot, this is likely on the higher end, like, oops. So this one here is probably on the higher end, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top 2 rows. We got a lot of top 2 row people. And then we got some at the bottom. So the simple random sample dot plot is probably going to have a mixture of dots. That's like something around like there. If you did another sample and another sample and another sample. Okay. On sample number 2, we made sure to get 2 from this row, 2 from this row, 2 from this row, 2 from this row, 2 from this row. Sample number 2 guaranteed that I got some in the hundreds, some in the 80s, some in the 70s, 60s, 60s. It kind of split it evenly. So let's just say, I'm guessing the average is more, I don't know. Maybe we need to actually calculate
One sec.
what we did.
Oh,
Jesus.
I have it, yeah, in a second. It's 76.9.
Okay, 76.9. Thank you. So 76.9 because I got some here, some here, some here, some here. I got a guaranteed some 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s. 60s. Okay. So what this is called, we got 76 or whatever, almost 77. What this is called, this type of sampling, is called stratified sampling. So a stratified sample. So on a stratified sample, we take a random sample, but before we do that, we split them into certain groups because we think something might affect it. Like, for example, if I told y'all to take a sample of Bryan High, for y'all to truly get a good sample of Bryan High, you probably need to stratify based upon like grade level, right? Because freshmen probably think differently than seniors. Probably a highly likely 99.9% chance. So, we probably need to stratify because we think there's a difference. If I'm going to poll the entire nation on how they feel about COVID-19 right now, I probably need to make sure I get some people from California, Texas, Washington, Iowa, Florida. I need to get a good dip of the whole population. That would be stratified. So stratification is, so the first you split into groups, and I'm splitting on those groups based upon something I think could affect, like me. Like on this case, I thought rows might affect. Like you being on the front row might affect you more than the back row. You being a freshman might affect your opinion more than being a senior. You being 80 years old and living in California might be different than 25-year-old living in Oklahoma, whatever. So first you split into groups based on a characteristic like you think has an impact. Okay, then once you do that, you just do a simple random sample in those groups. So then SRS in each group. Okay, so like let's take this into context of this concert problem. So like the first step we did was on method number 2 is we split by row. And the reason we split by row is because being closer might impact your enjoyment of the show. So because closer to JT might increase enjoyment. So we split by row, but then inside of that row, we then just did a random sample of 2 from the 10. So then we got an even number from each row. So step number 2 was then we did an SRS of each row. Okay, if we just always run out of time, unfortunately. Just trying to get too much. But I think it's hard to do the block rows. But if we did this, I would have made each of y'all do your own thing. That's where the dot plots are coming in. But we can't. We don't have enough time to kind of go for that. But what we did is we SRS from each row. So on the number 3, they did the same thing. They just stratified by column. But I would say that this is not a good method because column is not the same as row in this case. That would be like splitting by, I don't know, lunches instead of splitting by grade level. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to talk more about stratified. We're going to talk about this thing called cluster.
Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I live here. Do y'all remember that?
Oh,
Did I tell
yeah.
y'all that in geometry?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be here tomorrow. Yeah, I'm here all the time. You know, I teach on weekends. That was always a running joke in geometry. Because I would say, in some classes, I would say that exact same thing. It'd be Friday, and I would say I was going to teach tomorrow.
I never finished my thingy for that. When we had the geometry, I did those. I never finished mine.
We didn't get to do that in class.
These were from, these weren't your year, right? They were the year after you. We did these like,
Mine was.
no,
Yeah, because that was the year behind
but
them.
we didn't put them on the ceiling.
We did.
I'm getting it all. Because of advisory.
Got him 2. Okay, there's 3. No, you didn't give me.
If Thomas joined golf this year, he could have had me 4 out of 4. Dang, Thomas.
Can we do this in my next class?
But I did it.
Really? I'm gonna pull up. You consume so much caffeine in a day. What happens when you cry? Like, how do you, like, do you ever crash? Or do you crash or you don't because you drink so much caffeine that... You sleep? Do you sleep? What time do you go to sleep? Where you going? Did you go to sleep today? Did you go to sleep today?
Last night, I was at like 11.
Oh, and then you were up at 5?
I woke up at 12.